for that warm introduction, Jeff. I am indeed honored that you would introduce me a second time. The event that I attended was unbelievably huge, and the organization that recognized my work is by far the biggest coalition that I have ever been honored and presented as I was last week. So again, I thank you, and I want those of you who work with Jeff to know that you're fortunate to have someone of his caliber, his skills and his abilities, and his leadership. So let me say that I am especially pleased to be in the company of several honorees who are very deserving for their accomplishments. And they include Honorary Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island, who stole my very special expert in education, Maura Linehan. And I think that sometimes I look back at the first 10 years and see how we were able to achieve what we did, that the naysayers said couldn't be done. Well, Maura had something to do with that. In the second decade, 11 through 12, I'm fortunate to have staff members who accompanied me and escorted me here today, Dr. Rosa Garcia and Dolores Gomez. Raise your hand. These two ladies assist me. Rosa is the in charge of the legislation that I have to vote on, and she's also the assistant chief of staff, lady who has had over 25 years involved in education, and recently, a year ago, graduated from University of Pennsylvania with a PhD in education. So we're delighted to honor her because of her accomplishments in my committee, and of course to find time at night and on weekends to go and earn a PhD in education. Ladies and gentlemen, I was listening to Senator Reed, and one of the things that crossed my mind is that I have traveled about 2 million miles in these 20 years that I've served in Congress. And amongst the many travels, the one thought that came to my mind was the visit to Rome, to see and witness the ordination of Pope Francis just a few years ago. And when I listened to his homily, he opened it by talking about the importance for everyone who was listening to him, that he wanted us to take care of children, especially those that came from families of low means and low income, as well as senior citizens, because both always seem to be the ones that are least represented in parliaments, in the legislature, and in America, the Congress. And that's very true. I can say that because I've been in my position for 20 years, and I've seen the number of lobbyists that come for the Department of Defense. I've seen the number of lobbyists who come for the banking system, because I am a very senior member of financial services that oversee all the banks in the country, as well as life insurance companies and mortgage lenders. Ladies and gentlemen, you should see the crowd of lobbyists that do not come to see me. It is senior citizens who come and tell me that they are under the impression that they're going to be making some huge cuts to programs that are so important to them. And certainly literacy is one of them. So I bring that up because I just want you to know that I'm proud to stand here before you, that I come from Mexican immigrant parents who came to America in 1910. 1910. That's over 100 years ago. My mother was 5 years old, and my father was 9 years old. 2 different states, 2 different families. And they met when they were young adults. My dad was 28, my mom was 23, and they had 11 children. I happened to be number 8 out of that group, the first one to graduate from college of 7 boys. And I can tell you that I am so proud to be a champion for senior citizens. My grandmother lived to 95. My mother lived to 95. So I'm hoping that I will live to 95. And so to be honored here this evening for the work that I love is something very special. You'll honor me with what you're doing this evening. But before my prepared remarks, I wish to thank the National Coalition of Literacy for making literacy and adult education one of our top priorities in the nation. I also wish to thank Carol Ruskell, the former president and CEO of Reading is Fundamental, RIF, and my good friend and colleague, Dr. Phil Rowe. Dr. Rowe is a congressman with whom I've worked very well. Both of us working together to raise to a much higher level of awareness on the importance of adult literacy. I have a lot of respect and admiration for Dr. Rowe because he is in one party and I am on the other. And yet, parties don't matter. What does matter is that we hear each other and we agree on the strategy that we're going to use to get other members of Congress to join our caucus and to support the issues that are so important to senior citizens. And literacy is certainly very, very important. Both reading literacy and financial literacy. And he and I both are members of those caucuses. Financial Literacy Caucus, which I started 20 years ago with Judy Biggert, a Republican co-chair, and myself. And then we, Dr. Rowe and I started the Adult Literacy, Reading Literacy Caucus, and has grown also because of the way those on the other side of the aisle and those on my side of the aisle, how they see that this is something that is greatly needed. So I just want him to know that I remembered him in my opening remarks. Your membership has done an exceptional job in promoting the importance of literacy in both urban and rural communities across the nation. During my tenure in Congress, I have thoroughly enjoyed working with NCL to advance legislation such as the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act in my leadership roles as ranking member of the Subcommittee on Higher Education and Workforce Training, and also in my role as co-chair of the House Adult Literacy Caucus. I can't express how committed I am to giving all children, youth, and senior citizens, adults, the opportunity to develop their literacy skills and have access to a good education. It is truly empowering for youth and adult learners to know how to read a newspaper or health information or a magazine of their choice, or to be able to read to their children and help them with their homework, and to acquire the literacy skills to do basic arithmetic and write a check or possibly open a savings account at the bank. Most importantly, it has been inspiring for me to attend graduation ceremonies and watch the adult learners earn their degrees and pursue good paying jobs and post-secondary education. When youth and adult learners acquire basic literacy skills, and gain the self-confidence and support they need to succeed, they are more able to fully communicate and express themselves when they are in different settings. What's more, these students are more likely to become civically engaged in their communities and to vote. How important it is for them to understand that their voice is their vote. For these reasons, our nation must continue to increase funding for adult education programs and work to improve and save lives. Finally, I've also seen how family literacy programs and literacy campaigns have increased high school graduation rates in my congressional district from 60% in 1997 when I was sworn in to 85% in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what the naysayers said would never happen, because my region was the third biggest production area for agriculture products, fruits, vegetables, and other crops. So when I came into Congress, I wanted to change that fact that we had such low graduation rates, that we had so many people who were uninsured, change that area that had very low income and so many people below the national poverty level. And I decided that the way to do it was to invest in education and healthcare. So I know that the work that my staff and I have done, both here in Washington, to get the funding increased, not a little bit, but dramatically, has made a huge transformation in the region that we know, South Texas, from San Antonio south to Edinburgh, McAllen, Brownsville, Laredo. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were to take a snapshot of 20 years ago of South Texas, and you look at it today, with the investment that I said in the sectors of education, healthcare, and infrastructure, and have a graduation rate of 85, you would understand why I'm so proud that University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, today is almost 30,000 doing bachelor's, master's, and PhDs. 30,000. When I came here, it was slightly over 7,000. Our community college, which I helped found, I'm the founder of South Texas Community College, started out with less than 1,000 students, today has 34,000. So you can see why I'm a believer, and I know you are too, otherwise you wouldn't be here. During Festiva week, F-E-S-T-I-V-A, Festiva, which is the South Texas Literacy Coalition, along with RIF, Reading is Fundamental, have distributed 500,000 books to children, little children that are pre-kinder and all the way up to 5th grade. And what a difference that has made, because we've honored so many million-word readers and how they love to read, including my own children. I have 5 and 6 grandchildren, and I can tell you what a difference it has made that we read to them 30 minutes every night since they were born. So during this period of Festiva, we are able to celebrate. An organization like RIF comes out and gives the books out. Not only they, but the volunteers that we have in the coalition. So the strategy has raised the awareness of the importance of literacy along the US-Mexico border, and it's making a huge difference. In closing, I thank you again for the special recognition that I have been presented, and urge you to continue to promote the importance of literacy for all. Thank you.